Hello and welcome to the Dye Mansion, Washington's headquarters. My name is Arturo and today we're going to be in the blacksmith's forge. The Dye family was a wealthy landowning family in northern New Jersey. They owned 600 acres of land, over half of which was farmland. With such a large farm, it was necessary for the family to have easy access to all kinds of tools. From nails, hammers, and saws, to cooking pots and pans, having a forge located on your property not only increased the family's material wealth, but also gave them easy access to a variety of necessities. In the 18th century, different forges would have worked with different types of metal. The one located in the farmstead here at the Dye family house would have worked with iron. Smiths that worked with iron were known as blacksmiths, and they were one of the most vital parts of any colonial house or farmstead, as they often made the tools, repaired the tools, and upkept them. Blacksmiths would be an apprentice for 7 years, starting at around the age 15. They would be apprenticed to master blacksmiths or well-known smiths that already had their own forge. After these 7 years were up, they would set out on their own to get enough money to establish their own forge. Not all apprentices had to go around wandering for work to get their own smithy. It was often the case that the apprentices of a blacksmith were his sons who would follow the family tradition. The benefits of this, other than the reputation from a lineage of blacksmiths, would be that it is cheaper to inherit a smithy than go out and make a new one entirely. A bellows needed to be in good condition, since a broken bellows would be useless, and blacksmiths had to ensure that it was functional. A bellows is like a lung. It inhales air and stores it in its bag, and then when the smith pulls on the handle, the air is exhaled into the furnace to feed the fire. The anvil was a large block of iron with a flattened surface where a piece of iron would be worked on via hitting it with a hammer in order to make it into an object or tool. Anvils often have modifications made to them, such as small holes or indentations that would either help with punching holes into a workpiece or to put a tool into it that can be applied to the workpiece. Blacksmiths had a wide variety of hammers they would use with their own specialties and uses. For instance, we have the cross-peen hammer right here with a wedged back for removing rivets and a flat front that was universal for hammering things. Then we have one of the more well-known hammers, the claw hammer, with a clawed back to remove nails and a flat front that is universal. This is one of the more versatile hammers around, and it is the most well-known hammer today. Other tools such as chisels were used to make either indentations or to slim down iron. It was also used to cut molten iron. To hold that molten iron, tongs were used. These tongs were meant so that the smith did not have to touch the molten iron, which was around 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Blacksmithing tools were often made by the smith himself or by the specialized blacksmiths that did that. However, no matter what blacksmith you were, you would always make tools for the other jobs, such as farmers, gunsmiths, carpenters, and hunters. For instance, smiths would often make things anywhere from nails to bullets to arrowheads and a wide variety of farming equipment. Blacksmiths were vital to the American Revolution as there was a high demand for their goods, but not enough manpower to supply that. After the war had ended, though, that high demand wasn't there anymore, and many of the blacksmith businesses had to close down. During the 1820s, the economy had started to pick back up, and those blacksmiths were able to open back up and have successful careers for a few decades longer. However, once the Industrial Revolution had started, the machinery and manufactories just opted the blacksmith out completely, forcing them to become obsolete and going into obscurity.